Paul Ladd with Summit Edge Realty, here with your Nerd Update. This will come for February 3rd through February 9th, 2025 for the Heart of Kentucky MLS. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions or feedback, anything else you'd like to see, or maybe you disagree with my analysis. Let's head to the computer and check out those
So if we look at this year, we had 65 new listings. That compares pretty strongly with the last 4 years, but it's down quite a bit from last week with the total inventory of 761. All right, not much change from last week. And then when you look back over the years, kind of the upper middle of the pack, we had 64 go under contract, and we had 26 close over the time period there. So 64 under contract is really the highest we've seen in the 4 years. It's more than last week. 13 under contract in 7 days, a little tick up from 11 last week. And if you remember the week before that, it was only 5. Right. And so 13, bit in the low side when you look over the last 4 years, 2021 and 2022. I think we're going to be outliers in the overall data scheme. 26 closed, lowest in the last 4 years for this week of the year, lower than last week. 81 price reductions, right? So I think these are kind of matched there, where the longer they're on the market, the fewer that close, the more price reductions we would expect to see. Days on market. So remember, this days on market is only looking at these ones that closed, and what I'm counting days on market is listing date to pending date. So 42 and a half, a little up from last week. I remember the week before that was something like 83. Right, so kind of back down into a bit more than normal compared to the last 4 years, but much more in line than the 83 we had a few weeks ago. And interest rates come down a little bit last week, right? Again, 21, 22, they were at levels I never expected to see in my life, and I don't expect to see again. And then 23 and 24, still in the 6s. Now 6.89 is quite a bit different than 6.12 when it comes to purchasing power, but still under 7. Right? A lot of people have this idea that interest rates are just ridiculously high, but they are at historical levels. Right? Historically, it's around 6 to 7%. And so that's a conversation that I'm having with a lot of people, is around the interest rates, and having them understand that trying to time interest rates is like day trading in the stock market. There are people who do it very successfully, but most people who try it fail. Right? If interest rates go up, then you win by having a mortgage. If interest rates go down and it's enough to matter, you can refinance. It's hard to lose on the interest rate game as long as you can afford the payments for the home that you're moving into. The way I presented to them is that if you have the ability to go ahead and get into a house now, there's so many people waiting for interest rates to fall, or for summer to come, or the rain to fall, or the sun to shine, whatever it is they're waiting on. If you can proceed now, then you would have an upper hand. You can be in charge of your home search instead of trying to chase other people around and try to beat other people to putting in offers, or being in a multi-offer situation over a half a percentage point. If you have the funds, then you should pursue home ownership if that's your goal and it's your dream and it's right for your family and your situation. These interest rates are, like I said, in historical levels. All right, so as you can see, we got about as many under contract as went new listings, so that's not going to have a big impact on total inventory climbing up. All right, a lot of places see big climb in the summer, so we'll see how that plays out. For that, let's go and look at last year, for this week last year, and the next 4 weeks. So last year at 67 new listings, and you can see that's a decently tight grouping of new listings over the next month here during mid-February to mid-March. Total inventory at 861, which was the lowest we saw, right? It looked like it climbed a little bit, then went down just a shade. Under contract between basically 50 and 60 for the next month last year. Under contract in 7 days. This week last year was the highest for the next 4, but they're all pretty decent in here. When you look at under contract in 6 days, this is roughly a third. When you go over here, this is roughly a third. This here is a little different. This was only a fifth. look at close, right? So these that are under contract, we would expect to close in about a month. But for the closings for the same week of the year over last year for the next 4 weeks, we can see that 34 was the lowest, right? So hoping that we can continue to see a trend like that where we get more closings in the weeks coming up. Price reductions a lot lower last year than what we've been seeing this year. And this is, I think, why the days on market were around 20. This one here was 49, which is an anomaly compared to the rest of these weeks. But even this 38 is quite a bit lower than this 49. And just being on the market longer, people get a little more eager to finish with the transaction, I feel like, and they want to move on with their life and be done with it. Interest rates, all right, big interest rate concerns right now, like I was just talking about. And it climbed last year. Even here where it went down, it was still above what it was this week, 4 weeks later. And so you can see that between last week and this week, we've got a few numbers that are dramatically different, but the overall inventory didn't change that much, right? I think the big number that we need to be watching is price reductions. I think these price reductions are an effort to drive homes under contract. And last week we had 54 price reductions, and we got an extra, 16 under contract. So I would suppose that you could say it worked for at least some of the people. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, you want to have further discussion on anything. I'm open for any questions you have, and I'd love to interact. Thank you.